Longest visit to the region by an American president in more than a quarter of a century. Everywhere we went, our foreign hosts greeted the American delegation, myself included, with incredible warmth, hospitality, and most importantly, respect. And this great respect showed very well our country is further evidence that America's renewed confidence and standing in the world has never been stronger than it is right now. When we are confident in ourselves, our strength, our flag, our history, our values, other nations are confident in us. And when we treat our citizens with the respect they deserve, other countries treat America with the respect that our country so richly deserves. During our travels, this is exactly what the world saw. A strong, proud, and confident America. Today I want to update the American people on the tremendous success of this trip and the progress we've made to advance American security and prosperity throughout the year. When I came into office, our country was faced with a series of growing dangers. These threats included rogue regimes pursuing deadly weapons, foreign powers challenging America's influence, the spread of the murderous terror group ISIS, and years of unfair trade practices that had dangerously depleted our manufacturing base and wiped out millions and millions of middle-class jobs. The challenges were inherited, and these products really showed what previous mistakes were made over many years and even decades by other administrations. Some of these mistakes were born of indifference and neglect, others from naive thinking and misguided judgment. In some cases, the negative influence of partisan politics and special interests was to blame. But the one common thread behind all of these problems was a failure to protect and promote the interests of the American people and American workers. Upon my inauguration, I pledged that we would rebuild America, restore its economic strength, and defend its national security. With this goal in mind, I vowed that we would reaffirm old alliances and form new friendships in pursuit of shared goals.
We aim to set standards.
I swore that in every decision, with every action, I would put the best interests of the American people first. Over the past 10 months, traveling across the globe and meeting with world leaders, that is exactly what I have done. Earlier this year in Saudi Arabia, I spoke to the leaders of more than 50 Arab and Muslim nations about our strategy to defeat terrorists by stripping them of financing, territory, and ideological support. And I urged the leaders to drive out the terrorists and extremists from their societies. Since that time, we have dealt ISIS one crushing defeat after another. In Israel, I reaffirmed the unbreakable bond between America and the Jewish state, and I met with leaders of the Palestinian Authority and initiated an effort to facilitate lasting peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. In Brussels, I urged our NATO allies to do more to strengthen our crucial alliance and set the stage for significant increases in member contributions. Billions and billions of dollars are pouring in because of that initiative. NATO, believe me, is very happy with Donald Trump and what I did. In Warsaw, I declared to the world America's resolve to preserve and protect Western civilization and the values we hold so dear. In Rome, Sicily, Hamburg, and Paris, I strengthened our friendships with key allies to promote our shared interests of security and prosperity. In September at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, I urged that the nations of the world join in confronting rogue regimes that threaten humanity and laid out a model for international cooperation grounded in respect for sovereignty and the responsibilities that come with it. On each trip, I have worked to advance American interests and leadership in the world. And to each of these places, I have carried our vision for a better, a vision for something stronger,
We
and
aim to set
sovereign, so important, sovereign and independent nations rooted in their histories, confident in their destinies, and cooperating together to advance their security, prosperity, and the noble cause of peace. It was this same vision that I carried to Asia 2 weeks ago. And it was this same commitment to you, the American people, that was always at the forefront of my mind and my thinking. Our trip was defined by 3 core goals. First, to unite the world against the nuclear menace posed by the North Korean regime, a threat that has increased steadily through many administrations and now requires urgent action. Second, to strengthen America's alliances and economic partnerships in a free and open Indo-Pacific, made up of thriving independent nations respectful of other countries and their own citizens, and safe from foreign domination and economic servitude. And third, to finally, after many years, insist on fair and reciprocal trade. Fair and reciprocal.
Mẹ, giờ con không nói chuyện được.
Trade. Fair and reciprocal trade. So important. These 2 words, fairness and reciprocity, are an open invitation to every country that seeks to do business with the United States. And they are a firm warning to every country that cheats, breaks the rules, and engages in economic aggression like they've been doing in the past, especially in the recent past. That is why we have almost an $800 billion a year trade deficit with other nations. Unacceptable. We are going to start whittling that down, and as fast as possible. With these goals, it was my profound honor to travel on this journey as your representative. I explained to all of the world leaders and across Asia how well the United States is doing. Economic growth has been over 3% the last 2 quarters and is going higher. Unemployment is at its lowest level in 17 years. The stock market has gained trillions of dollars in value since my election and has reached
We wondered,
record highs.
could you can
We
bread?
are massively
By God,
increasing our
you
military
can.
budget to historic
This is
levels.
Rumbaba's,
The House
Oh, I
is
which
love
is a bread in the sense it uses yeast, and we canned them. And now watch what happens when we open it up.
For our nation. Once again, our
Isn't that
country
awesome?
is optimistic about the future, confident
Really
in
good.
our values, and proud.
And how long will
of
this stay in there?
and a role
9 months,
in the
and
world.
it
So
still
I'd have
seems good.
perfectly fresh bread in 9 months
Country for the
if I
part
just pop the top on
you
that
have
thing.
played in making this great American comeback possible. In Asia, our message was clear
The lens
and well received. America is here to compete,
Seattle.
to do business, and to defend
If
our
you're looking for
values
a dump site
and our
to
security.
dispose of the recently
Began our
killed
trip in
victim
Hawaii.
of your serial
Pay our
killing
respects
spree,
to
this
brave
would
American
be the
service
perfect
members of
environment.
Pearl Harbor
Literally, you can
and
hide
the United
bodies
States
like a
Pacific
short
Command,
drive from wherever
the
you are.
guardian of our
In
security.
fact, it's been favored by serial killers
across
throughout the ages.
Indo-Pacific region.
Also chefs.
As our country prepared
that's
to
really good.
observe Veterans Day, we remember
And musicians.
the incredible sacrifices and courage
Thousands of
of
bands
all
here.
of the veterans.
The fact that you
whose
had us on
service
the
has
show made
preserved
me realize
our
that
liberty and
run out
a
of
way
things
of
to-
life that is very
You know, it's the landscape that
we
inspired
also
Kurt
thank
Cobain.
military families for their support for our brave servicemen and
Look
women.
at that.
You have no
From
idea how much that
Hawaii,
cost to
we
arrange.
traveled to Japan, a crucial U.S. ally and partner in the region. Upon landing in Japan, my first act was to thank the American service members and Japanese self-defense forces who personify the strength of our enduring alliance. Prime Minister Abe and I agreed on our absolute determination to remain united to achieve the goal of denuclearize North Korea. Shortly following our visit, Japan announced additional sanctions
started a
on
theatre company
35
in
North
1999
Korean
called
entities
Mind
and
Adventures.
individuals.
When I was
Japan
16 years
also
old, the
committed
incredibly
to
well-known
shouldering
theatre director
more
and
of
actor
the burden of our
was
common defense
abducted
by reimbursing
and murdered.
costs borne
His
by
abduction
American
wasn't the
taxpayers,
first,
as
but it
well as by
inspired
making
young
deep
people
investments
like me
in
to think,
Japan's
well,
own
how can we do
military.
something? How can we make a change?
This will include purchases of U.S. advanced capabilities, from jet fighters to missile defense, systems worth many, many billions of dollars, and jobs for the American worker. Prime Minister and I also
main focus
discussed
of the
ways
play,
we can
the
deepen our
traveling
trade
circuses,
relationship
the
based on the
internally
core
displaced
principles
people.
of
At
fairness
any given time in
and
Sri Lanka since the
reciprocity.
1980s, we've
I am
had
pleased that
a
since
population
January of this
upward
year,
of 200,000
Japanese
displaced.
companies have
People who
announced
have lost their
investments in the
homes,
United
their families,
States
their lands.
worth more
Hurry
than
up!
$8 billion,
Don't waste my time.
17,000
You
jobs.
can't take anything inside the camp. Search this. Hurry up, next.
This play is in part acknowledging what happened. It is a record that these terrible things happened to the people of our country. But it is also trying to offer some hope. And I think that's something
Japanese
that our
manufacturers,
company in general
Toyota and
the
Mazda,
play especially
announced that
is
they
trying
will
to
be
say.
opening a new plant
Never
in the United States that will create 4,000 jobs. We also signed agreements between our nations to enhance infrastructure development, increased access,
Whole
affordable
local
energy,
smelt flash
and
fried and
advance
served
our
with
foreign
pepperoncini,
policy goals through
sambal
economic
aioli.
investment. From
Local
Japan, we
Dungeness
traveled to
crab,
another
cooked and
key
chilled with
American
pickled
ally
ginger sauce.
in Asia,
And oysters.
the Republic
Lots
of
of
Korea.
oysters.
My official state visit to South Korea was the first by an
Seattle
American
has been
president
for a very long
in
time
25
considered
years.
one of the more
Speaking
foodie, for lack of
before
a better
the
word,
National
foodie
Assembly
cities.
of the Republic of Korea,
You ask me why,
I
generally they
spoke
say the
truth
shirobot makes
about
a
the
really good
evil
ingredients.
crimes
Yeah,
of the
exactly. I
North
mean,
Korean regime.
you got the
And I
ocean
made
there,
clear that
you've
we
got
will not allow this
cattle
twisted
country and
dictatorship
orchard
to
country
hold
just
the
over the
world
mountains.
hostage
To say one of the
to
things that's
nuclear
changed in
weapons.
Seattle is there's not
I
just the
called
Pike
on
Place market, but
nation,
every
including
neighborhood
China
has
and
a
That's a
market.
green market.
to unite
Yeah,
and
so those
isolate
entrepreneurs
the
have a
North
place to
Korean
sell.
regime,
They can
cutting
go to
off
all the
all
markets
ties
or
of
just some of
trade and
them.
commerce
But
until
it's
it
really
stops its
fantastic.
dangerous provocation on, and this is the whole key to what we're doing, on denuclearization.
Chef Javier
we have to
Pacheco favors Puerto
denuclearize
Rican dishes and
North
ingredients
Korea.
that have been
We have
largely
ended the
forgotten.
failed strategy of
When you
strategic
go to another
patience,
place
and
and
as
they
a
tell you,
result,
yeah,
we
I
have
went to
already seen
McDonald's or I
important
went to
progress,
Burger.
including
That
tough new
sucks. I hate
sanctions
that.
from the UN Council.
Because we have a lot
We
of
have
really
a
good
Security
stuff
Council
here.
that has been
and
with
it's our
us,
job
and just
to
about with us
keep it
from the
alive
beginning.
and show it to the
South
world.
Korea agreed to harmonize
hey, we are
sanctions
more
and
than a
joined the
puzzle.
United States in sanctioning additional rogue actors whose fund and funds have helped North Korea
My
and
name
North
is
Korea's
Elizabeth
nuclear
Quintero.
and ballistic missile programs. It's unacceptable
I live
to
and
us.
work in La Finca
The United
Conciencia.
States welcomed the decision of
We
President
run
Moon to
a
remove the
productive and
payload
educational agroecological
restrictions
project.
on missiles to combat the
farm.
North Korean threat.
We have
And
the
together
land
we
and the
reaffirmed our
resources
commitment to a
produce
campaign
food
of
that is
maximum
economically viable,
pressure.
that is
Like
self-sustaining,
Japan, South Korea
without a
is
lot of
increasing its
investment.
defense contributions.
It's liberating.
During our meetings, President Moon acknowledged his desire for equitable cost sharing for the United States military forces stationed in South Korea. And I visited soldiers at Camp Humphreys, a brand new joint American-South Korean base, paid for almost entirely by the South Korean government.
Puerto Rico, you
At
think you
that
know it,
base, I
maybe you grew up
discussed with the
around
United
Puerto
States
Rican
and
culture
South
like I did in
Korean
New York
military
City.
leaders, both military options and readiness
Incredible
to
music,
respond to North Korean
incredible food.
provocation or offensive actions. During our visit,
Lovely
President
people.
Moon and I also discussed America's commitment to
I've been
reducing
drinking a fair
our
amount of
trade
this lately.
deficit with South Korea.
But
At
Puerto
my
Rico,